And we are back with another episode of the Hockey Princess podcast. I am your host, the Hockey Princess, the crusty old guy once again. Guys, just as a reminder, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, however you watch or listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. If you are going to a game this season, any hockey game at all, be it NHL, AHL, college games, junior games, folks, please wait for the whistle. Do not get up all the pucks in play. Do not try to find your seat during gameplay. And if you do have to get up, because we understand, emergencies do happen. Sometimes you can't control the tiny tots. Please move as swift as you can out of other people's viewing of said game. And if you are going to a Blackhawk game this season, highly recommend Su Taqueria El Rey Del Taco over on Ogden. The food is great, the people are great, and it's just all great. How you doing, Christy? Krusty's struggling. We can't hear Krusty. He's just rambling to the world right now. If you're watching it on YouTube, you'll be able to hear that he's rambling. But otherwise, we really can't hear him at all. No, Krusty can't hear you. This is way more entertaining, folks, on YouTube, because we're just miming to each other right now. But if you're listening to the podcast, then it's just me talking. So just envision.
How about now?
Yes, you're back.
That stupid microphone crossy out thing comes up.
Yeah, it means you muted.
Well, I didn't do that. These computers have a mind of their own. Terminator's coming.
Yeah, probably. How you feeling, Krusty?
I'm okay. I'm confused. I got technical difficulties, and it throws me off a little bit. I sit here and look at my battery level and wonder if I'm going to make it through the show. Oh gosh.
We might have Krusty on the move later, guys.
But for right now, okay. I'll put it in a box. I'm ready.
All right. NHL world, not a ton right now. Two biggest things for this week is the NHL draft is set to be in Buffalo for this upcoming year. It is still decentralized because the NHL hates fun, as we've seen in so many instances. But it's going to be in Buffalo. So.
But decentralized in Buffalo?
Yes.
Meaning nobody will be there except for fans.
Yes. And the kids.
And the kids who will go into a silly room and do interviews?
But I've heard that it's less, I think that they realize that it took forever because we should not be hour 3 on pick 15. So I think it's going to be less of that, but still less fun because, like I said, the NHL really hates fun sometimes.
Yeah, okay. Well, whatever. Good for Buffalo.
Yeah, go for Buffalo because I know at least for the rumor of the past couple of months is it was New York at Madison Square Garden or Montreal. Those were kind of just the big front runners with it. So, yay, Buffalo. The other big news with the NHL right now is we've got a head coaching change with the Columbus Blue Jackets. You've got Evanson out. Bonus is in for Columbus. They're not doing so hot. I would like to see them do better, as would a lot of other people. I think right now they're currently at about the 500 mark. But the downside is with the Eastern Conference, that's kind of the bottom of the barrel for the East is 500. The West has a couple of teams that are below 500. The bottom of the barrel for the East is 500 or well above.
Yeah, another team that can't quite make that jump. The one worry that us Blackhawk fans all have. Okay, you can make the leap out of the basement, but can you make the leap into relevancy? That's a whole different ball game. Because everybody's got talent. I mean, they have Feltini, they got Johnson, probably still weak goaltending, but the Graves kid was supposed to be the savior. Not so sure, but again, a lot of retread coaches also.
Yeah.
Another 70-year-old. I don't get it.
No, I really don't. Christy, do you have anything in the NHL world that you'd like to talk about?
What was the Hamilton stuff? Was that just that he wouldn't waive, or?
So there's Dougie Hamilton drama, and maybe listeners or folks that are in the East that have more knowledge than I do can explain this to us better. But, for multiple reasons within the past couple of weeks, the New Jersey Devils are having issues between performance, fans targeting a certain player. It's just, there seems to be a lot of things going on. Dougie Hamilton's agent released a statement essentially saying like Dougie Hamilton is being basically accused the Devils front office of targeting Dougie Hamilton, of like his healthy scratch has nothing to do with his playing. They're out to get him. This is gone on long before like the start of this season sort of thing. It just seems like a lot of drama, at least to me, coming out of nowhere. I mean, obviously there's been rumors and rumblings of, are they going to move on with Dougie Hamilton? I think those were ignited even more with the massive Luke Hughes extension that happened prior to the start of the season. But I think this is kind of similar in the sense of when Seth made the statement of we're still the same team from day one, where it's like he was slightly on the trade block, but now you've got to move him. So I wouldn't be surprised if Dougie Hamilton is moved as soon as possible or prior to the Olympic break.
That one depends. How much longer does Dougie have on his contract? Is he a UFA? The difference being Seth had a really long contract.
Right.
Both situations I consider similar to the fact that management has thrown each under the bus. Go ahead, Hockey Princess.
Dougie Hamilton has this year and then 2 more years at $9 million, and then becomes an unrestricted free agent.
Correct. So, number one, it's hard to move. Number two, obviously they had a suitor involved. Now it's completely in Dougie's hands. This reeks of, they wanted to move him. He said no. And then, okay, we're gonna make your life miserable,
right,
until you leave. Now you're talking about actual emotions, and everybody's different. Some players be like, you know what? I can deal with this forever. I would assume he can't deal with it forever, but I would assume he can deal with it throughout this year.
Right.
So, and again, for $9 million for Dougie Hamilton, you're looking at the best way to get something back is you'd have to eat it. They can't eat it. They're in cap hell. So, this is a problem they made.
I don't know if you necessarily have to eat as much as you do, because there's one team in mind where they have well above the cap room, and I'm not suggesting us. There's one team in particular that I don't think you have to eat it as much, and that's the Anaheim Ducks.
Correct, but you have a very young decor there already. And with that, you have enough defensemen that cannot play defense. You don't need one more.
No, but I also think, and we can talk about this too later if we want to, but clearly something's also not working in Anaheim. So I don't, contract wise, Anaheim, you can eat it because at the moment stands they've got about $23 million in cap room. Clearly something's not working. I feel like they're one of the few where it's like you technically could get it done compared to other teams.
Yeah, I think they could get it done, except for the fact their big problem is keeping the puck out of the net, and that's not Dougie Hamilton's forte.
Well, I think with the amount that they're losing right now, they can't put it in the net either.
Well, they're still a little bit better on that.
Yeah.
So, it'll be an interesting one. I can't imagine he's moved before the trade deadline just because, I don't know, I think of myself. I would not give that organization the satisfaction of being able to move me. I would sit there and enjoy watching that locker room deteriorate and go, you gave me the no trade clause. And then you backstab me. So that's just my take on it.
He has a modified
10 team. I think it's a 10 teamer. Right. So obviously they had to go outside the other 10 teams and wanted him to change it. With the 10 team, I mean, players sit there and list teams that they know won't be able to go to because of cap reasons. So when they ask for your list, you list 10 teams that there's no way they can make this work. So, but again, that's his right. That's what you spent to get it a prime Dougie Hamilton.
Right.
No. Okay, I guess we've spent way too much time on this, haven't we?
It should be interesting. See how everything plays out.
It should be. Yes.
All right, so that's what we have in the NHL world. We're going to do something that we haven't done in a minute because usually we do our Hockey 101 stuff either before the start of the season or kind of like the mid during like Four Nations last year, when we've got that big February break.
Bless you.
Thank you. But we've got some Hockey 101 because as we've talked about, there's some new fans into the world of hockey. And we, gosh darn, love teaching about hockey. So this Hockey 101 is we are going to break down how to read stats. Not the like kooky, crazy graphics that you see, as Krusty says, on the X, the Y, the Z. This is just pretty basic level sort of stats. We're just pulling from Elite Prospects just because it's visually the easiest thing for me to look at. And we're kind of going to go bit by bit. So continuing with our love for Mr. Jason Robertson from last week, I've pulled up Jason Robertson's stats from the past couple of years. You cool with that, Krusty?
I am unbelievably stunned. Look at that. We were able to scoot us around and put up a graphic. We are going places. Rest of the podcast in video world, watch out. Watch out.
So this is the last couple of years. So this is why I like looking at Elite Prospects when it comes to stats. So as you can see, in 2020, 2021, you're able to see what they did at the NHL level, but then also if they had international competitions or like the year prior, you're seeing NHL and their AHL all at the same time. And that way you're not having to like flip flop between different league stats. Because even if you're on NHL.com, it's just going to show you NHL stats. So this is Jason Robertson of the Dallas Stars. As we can see, the first column, you've got the years, so the seasons. Next is the teams that they played for. And then to the right, you'll see leagues. So you got the NHL, the AHL. I think that's the worlds which is at the end of the year, kind of like if you get knocked out of the playoffs early, you can go play more hockey. And then the first number column that we're going to see is games played. So you're able to see, 2022, 2023, and the couple of years after. Obviously, Jason played full seasons. So you got 82 games. Well, maybe not. Yeah, 82. Because I was thinking of like last year when Robertson got taken out by Mark Stone, but I think that was just fully in the postseason. Next column over from games played is you're going to see their goals, and then the next one over is assists, and then points. And one of the bigger questions that I've seen on the socials is, well, what's the kind of difference between they talk about like goals versus assists versus points? Both goals and assists, you're going to get points. But that conversation kind of comes with the type of player that they are. You're either typically you're a goal guy or more of like the playmaker, and your assists are going to be higher up than your goals. But your goals plus your assists are always going to come into your total points, which is that number column that's kind of like in the bold. Christy, you got anything to add so far as we go?
I don't think so. I think you're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you. Give me 1 second, folks.
So, I mean, when evaluating something like this, you look at a Jason Robertson and you look at a player that's basically a point per game guy. That's
Sounds
good.
Yeah.
Anybody who's over a point per game guy is a difference maker. It's just that simple. And then it breaks down from there.
Yep.
Jason Robertson is a dual threat. He can dish, and he is a goal scorer.
Yeah.
So
next column over to the numbers that are in the bold. So the next one to the right, it's going to be labeled PIM, and that's your penalty minutes. And as you can see, for the most part, I'd say across the board, Jason Robertson's penalty minutes are pretty low compared to some. For instance, if you look up Nikita Zadorov on Elite Prospects, these numbers over here are going to be significantly higher. I'd say this is pretty common with individuals of Jason Robertson's caliber. Usually their penalty minutes are not going to be grossly high.
Correct. Depending on what kind of game you play, Jason Robertson is an assist guy and a goal scorer. Not considered a true power forward, and not what you would consider a rough guy. So his penalty minutes are always going to be a little less.
Yeah. And then the next is one of the hotter topics of conversation when it comes to stats being brought up, because a lot of people really like to say, does this stat matter when talking about certain players? And that is the plus or minus stat. So if you are on the ice for a goal for your team, it's a plus. If you are on the ice for your team and the opposing team scores against you, it's a minus. And that is kind of just goes throughout the game. So you'll be able to see whether a player was plus or minus for a particular game. And then for bigger stat sites like Elite Prospects, they're going to keep a hold of that for the entire season. So you're able to see the plus or minus across the board for the entire season.
Correct. And it's always a one that like people, I believe Bedard's first year or whatever brought that up, that he was a minus 5,000 or something. It's an indicator that you shouldn't put too much mustard behind, because the fact that you get a minus might not have anything to do with your play on the ice.
Right.
So also with the plus minus, you don't get a plus for any power play goals either.
Yep.
So everything becomes a little skewed with it. I think this is the big one. Why? Because of this number not being as accurate as people want, you then get into the other analytics about expected goals, what do you think they should do? All that. I mean, hockey's no different. It's got stuff that I have no idea what's going on, and nor do I want to learn. I watch enough to where I trust my eyes, but it's a good way for teams that you don't know to kind of get a slight gauge on a player.
Absolutely. I also think, the plus or minus definitely gets skewed for individuals like, and I know we constantly bring up Seth, but your top two defensemen that they might get some pluses, they might get some minuses, but it's going to be a little skewed for individuals that are on the ice for like 20 plus minutes compared to guys that are only seeing like 8 to 10 minutes of ice time.
Correct.
So, and then to the right, we've got the playoffs. So if you're looking at, a guy that has made it into the postseason, you'll also see these stats as well. And they're going to follow the same format as for the regular season. So you got games played, goals, assists, total points, penalty minutes, and then plus or minus. So this is and these stats are pretty much in the same format for forwards and defensemen. And again, I really like using elite prospects to look at stats just because visually it's easier for me. But there's definitely a lot of other sites that have all of these stats broken down as well. The other one that I wanted to take a look at is for goaltending. So for goaltending, it's going to look a little bit different. Right now, I've just got Spencer Knights brought up. Just because you're able to kind of see, like how I said before, it has everything listed within the different leagues. So NHL, AHL, stuff like that, it's all going to be broken down. And you're able to see the years. So, Krusty, we have switched over to Thank You, Spence.
Okay.
Just to take a look at some goaltending. Give me 1 second, folks. So like I said, it's going to look a little bit different for goaltending in terms of stats just because their stats are different.
They sure are.
So for the first one, similar to when we were looking at Jason Robertson's stats, it's going to be games played. So you're able to see, plain and simple, how many games that they played for that season for that team. So you can see how much at the beginning, how much Spencer played for Florida versus Charlotte and kind of back and forth. The next one is going to be the goals against average. So on average, how many goals is Spencer Knight letting in per game? So you're able to see, he's averaging anywhere in between like 2.4 to about 3. It's a little bit, numbers are a little bit lower if you're looking at his AHL stats. And then the next one is going to be save percentage. We talk about this a lot when we do our prospect report and talk about Adam Guyon. So essentially 1.000 is perfect. He's not letting in any goals whatsoever. 0.5, like that's 50%. So he's letting in 50% of the goals. So you can see right now. So right now for this, season currently, Spencer Knight's blocking about 91% of the shots, which is great. So the higher the number, the closer to the number 1.000, better the goaltender is at the moment. And the lower the save percentage, the worse he's doing at the moment.
Yes. Thank you for doing all of this. I had more technical difficulties. I believe I have now hooked up my the new computer to power, so we should be good for the rest of the show.
Love it. Next couple of stats is the next one from the bolded numbers to the right is going to be shootout. So not many for Spence. And then the final column with the 3 numbers, it is just the record. So win, lose, going into overtime. And then similar to Jason Robertson's, you're able to see if there's any postseason for a particular year to the right. So this is Hockey 101 reading elite prospect stats.
Correct. And with the goaltenders, the main one that everybody likes to talk about is that save percentage. That's how my percentage of ones that you're stopping. And again, like anything else, then they will break it down to how difficult the save was and
Right.
everything else. We could go over that another time if people are dying for that in the summertime. The extended analytics has a place, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But like anything else, it's not the end all be all.
No.
But yeah, the save percentage is anything under the 900, you then worry.
Right.
And like anything else in hockey, especially if a goaltender's under that, odds are good he's not getting a ton of help either. So they're usually two different. Everybody walks hand in hand, kind of. So that's all.
Definitely. Krusty, you got anything else about Hockey 101?
I didn't even know we were doing it, so I didn't know what you wanted me to do. So I guess I will say no.
All right. Jumping to prospect report for this week. College kids are back. World Junior kids are back. Everybody is back with the prospects. So we've got 2 goals and 3 assists for Jack Pridham out of the Kitchener Rangers. 1 goal from AJ Spellacy with the Windsor Spitfires. 1 goal and 1 assist for Merrick Vanaker out of Brantford Bulldogs. 1 goal for Parker Holmes out of Brantford. You've got 2 goals for Nathan Bem out of the Kamloops Blazers. 1 assist from Sasha out of Boston University. And if folks haven't read the nice article that Laz did on Sasha, essentially confirming that Sasha was hurt for the majority of the first half of BU season, but did not want to be completely sidelined, felt like he would let his team down. So he was definitely battling something at the beginning of the season. 1 goal for Vaclavna Strassel out of UMass, 1 assist for John Mustard out of Providence College, 3 assists for Julius Sump with Providence College. Guyon only played 1 game this past weekend and won it, taking the save percentage to .917. Roman Kanserov, you've got 49 points in 41 games in the KHL, and then 1 goal for the Anton Frundell.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. And the rumors were swirling about Sasha, so there was a lot of people who were saying, obviously, there's got to be a little something wrong.
Right.
And it's a difference maker. It's, it is what it is. And especially in hockey, we don't hear about it.
No.
They stay pretty tight-lipped about everything. So, and again, on a college level, in a major college program, you don't want to be taking off. If you're playing for a junior team and you've got a decent junior team, you're okay with shutting it down for a while.
Right.
College it's just a different animal. It's a little bit more intense, I would say, rivalry-wise. Would I be incorrect on that or correct?
No, you're correct.
Oh, God, I love being correct.
All right. Jumping to Rockford really quick. 2 losses this weekend for the boys. However, and we'll get to this talking about the big club, there were a lot of ups and downs in terms of the rosters for both the big team and the little team this weekend. So I'm really not concerned. I'm not putting any blame whatsoever. It was nice to see Owen Flores get his first time called up to Rockford. Typically plays with Indy, but this week was kind of a fluke, a weird one. You did get another big heavyweight tilt with Boucher against Winnipeg again. I don't believe it was the same guy with Winnipeg, but Boucher definitely took another guy down out of Manitoba. And, he had a nice soundbite about wanting to protect the younger kids. And, that's my job. That's my role here. But it was definitely a big fight in Rockford.
Yeah, that was a humdinger. I suggest anybody going to watch it. Anytime you can get people swinging for about a minute, it's all good. Fighters are different; they know their role.
Yeah.
There's for the most part mutual respect. You'll notice that if anybody really lays somebody out, they automatically stop and just hope the other guy's okay. It's
Right.
kind of their job. And yes, as an enforcer, it's your job to protect the kiddies and make sure that people answer or at least know that you're paying attention.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Jumping to Big Club, because we've got a lot of games to talk about. Some good, some not so good. A lot of weird stuff this week. First off, this game happened before we released the episode, but not before we recorded. So I want to talk about it a little bit. And because anytime we get to dog walk St. Louis in our own barn, it's a good time. It's a very good time. I really appreciate. I found it funny. It's like the video right at the end of the third period when Montgomery's trying to pull Binnington, and Binnington didn't want to get pulled. But it was a great game across the board. Obviously, the score reflects it.
Yeah, that was a little weird. I heard that the goaltender was not ready, but then you see him looking over, but you don't know if that cut to him
Right.
is after the play started again and maybe he wasn't ready and then he's coming back out. Again, Binnington, for me, that after that, I don't see how he's your top guy for Team Canada.
Logan Thompson. It's Logan. It's Logan Thompson.
I would give him the net. Again, I think they'll both get looks in the preliminary, but yeah, it would be tough to run with him. And as far as the St. Louis game, this was a little rough for Krusty.
Krusty was in Vegas.
Yeah, Krusty flew out to Vegas, so I got two of these games that I'm watching at like 2 a.m. and on my little pad because I figure I have to watch because that's my job here.
Yep.
And again, you had a Lardis goal on the power play.
Beautiful.
It's what he does. You also had a good game by Oliver Moore, at least in an okay game. And then they really started to steamroll, and then everything kind of fell apart for St. Louis. You could almost see some, dare you say, just packing it in.
Yeah.
Which, again, I'm sure for you there, or you were not there either.
I was not there either.
I don't think there was anybody in our seats thanks to that wonderful, midnight start or whatever time the game started. But, we talked last show. I'm keeping the momentum going, and you had to win 2 games to keep it going. And that was the first game that you needed to win. You got to beat St. Louis. You're about even with them in the standings. If you want to say that you're improving, that's a game that you have to win. And
they did.
They did, and St. Louis just did not show up, and they looked slow, and that's some rough sauce going there, and it's a beautiful way to tell exactly how everything is in the NHL coaching world. Because Montgomery was, oh God, the guy who got away. Why didn't we get him? Look at what he did, and now he's right back to crap. They've got issues. I don't believe Kyrou played, but I don't know what's going on with him. He is a foundational piece that seems to be cracking. And Steve Thomas isn't far behind him either. So
Rob Thomas?
Rob Thomas, yes. So yeah, Steve Thomas was an older player. So well done by the Hawks.
Yeah,
Um,
got the
home
job
fans
done.
love that shit. So
Moving on to, we got Friday's game, which was the beginning of St. Louis gave us the flu. I'm convinced. I will die on the hill that we got the flu from St. Louis. Prior to the game, there were talks because there was Knight was not at Knight was at practice with Scott Foster. Bloom was not at practice, and it was basically confirmed that Bloom wasn't going to play. Then you had Drew and Kevin being called up. So figuring, okay, Drew's just going to like back up Spencer, or you're getting a Comesso Knight tandem sort of situation. Then it was released that Creature was out, Bloom was out, Spence was out, and the Mickey Mouse was out. For Friday's games, he had LT versus Drew Comesso. Once I learned that, to be honest, I wasn't expecting a ton. Big thing with Friday is Connor Bedard was back from Braden Chen taking out his shoulder. The first period was absolutely rough. Washington was able to just walk all over them, which was fine. The expectation of this game was really, really low, just because. One, I think the energy was going to stop at a point. As much as I'd love to see this team go undefeated for as long as they can in the year of 2026, you knew at a point it was coming to a halt. And once these guys started going out with the flu, you kind of figure it was going to happen at a point. And to be honest, I'd rather it happen against Washington than happen against Nashville. So it wasn't anybody's best performance. I think Drew did his best with the situation, but also was a little leaky in some aspects. But at the same time, you're playing the Washington Capitals, so you're going to get peppered a ton. And LT played like he should have the starting net for Team Canada. One that I was a little confused about, and this is mainly on Katie, was the choice of calling up Kevin Korchinski to replace Louis Crevier. Not that Krusty and I have differing opinions on core, but there are guys in Rockford that have a bit more size compared to Korchinski, and you're figuring if a 6'8" defenseman is going out with the flu, you want to bring up a guy with a little bit more size, mainly looking at Ethan Del Mastro or even a Tage Harding. I believe Harding can come up. I don't think it's an AHL exclusive contract that Harding has. I think it's just a 2-year contract with the Hawks, and he's in Rockford. So I was a little confused as why you didn't call up a guy with just a little bit more size to replace Creech. You had more with a nice goal. But aside from that, it was what it was.
a very nice goal.
Yeah.
As most people know on this show, I'm not the biggest sold on Oliver Moore.
We
but that
like
was a
him.
pretty goal.
Krusty's just not, driving the bandwagon.
Correct. And as far as the core situation, Katie's walking a thin line. As I stated at the beginning of this year, this is all about maximizing your return for him. That's what this whole year's. It's not about development. It's not about where he fits. It's what I can get for him when I trade him. That's just the way it is. That's why I think he has not been brought up a lot. Washington was kind of struggling. So I think Katie thought it might be a time to maybe get him to shine a little bit. That was incorrect. I believe even Fells has gone on, he's been a core supporter and wanting him up here. And I believe he even was like, Korchinski is what he is. And he's going to have a role in the NHL. because he's a puck moving defenseman who can skate up ice. But there's a lot of them that you can't put in your top four that can do that, and
Right.
it's just so. Again, as I've mentioned many a time since I was upset when he got drafted, I hope he proves me wrong. But yeah, it looked like a little much for Core.
Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts and feelings on the Caps game?
Not really. There's not much. At that
It
point,
was what it was.
It was what it was. I have no idea what other players are feeling. It's hard enough to know who's dinged up. And
Right.
as I wrote, this is a non-judgmental game.
No.
I have no idea how sick anybody is. The fact that they showed up and gutted it out, that was enough for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no other thoughts on it. Kevin looked a little leaky, and
Drew?
That was okay.
Drew looked a little leaky?
Yes, Drew looked a little leaky. Sorry.
But it's going to happen. Next game that I was actually there for. Guys, this might be in the top 5 of games that I have been to. This was fantastic. Saturday night in Nashville, my first time at the Bridgestone. I will say there were so many Hawks fans there. It kind of felt like a home game. It was pretty nice. I've never really had that experience. And Krusty, maybe it's just because a lot of our adventures are up in Canada. But I've never been to an away game where like half the barn is wearing the away team jersey since the like Chicago Dead Wing rivalry, like in its not complete heyday, but heyday for me. So that was really nice to see. You've got Drew in net, so second night of a back-to-back. I think that's very important to say with how incredible he played. Drew Camasso versus UC Saros. Mickey Mouse is back in. Doc is out. I don't know if he was scratched or if he had the flu. To be honest, none of my business. But Doc was out for Saturday. First period, honestly, could have been worse. It wasn't the greatest, but it was fine. I was slightly horrified at what I heard inside the Bridgestone at the beginning of the first period, just because, at least to my memory, and Krusty, you can correct me if I'm wrong, if there was anything that wasn't said at the UC during the Dynasty era that was like this. But puck drops a couple minutes into the first period. On the other corner, I hear an anyone hit Bedard chant break out. And I can't remember the United Center ever creating a chant specifically targeting hitting an opposing player. That was a little off-putting. I get that it's a rivalry, but also like not really. We're both kind of bad right now. And yeah, that one just threw me for a loop just because we really don't do that at home.
It depends. We've had it. We've got that thing. We used to have that thing with Detroit where you'd like just one of them taken out. It's like I like to call the big brother little brother thing, where they're the little brother, especially once you've witnessed, if you're a hockey person, and I don't know how many are in Nashville, but I know there are some. Number one, you're there to support your team. Number two, half the building's full of other people. Brings up your anger level. I believe it was a key component of the anger at Detroit was just because they were so much better than us and they traveled well.
Yeah.
So you had to hear that. So, for me, I don't have a problem with that. That's all good fun. They have a bunch of other childish chants anyways.
Yeah.
One that they weren't even allowed to say because, Drew didn't even let in a goal.
Nope. I thought,
So
oh,
so
yeah.
I don't have a problem with it. You've got some anger the fact that he goes there. I get it. So well.
I thought Core had a better, at least, start to the game in Nashville compared to his start against the Caps the night before. Lovely Connor to Burt goal for the first one. Got very physical, very feisty during the second period. I thought Kaiser brought his A game in terms of the physicality aspect against Nashville. Same with Donato. I think Donato stepped up big time in terms of not taking anything from anybody. There was a lovely little tussle situation over by, I think it would have been Arnett. And Ryan Donato took down somebody. I think it definitely gave me glimpses of they're not taking anything from anybody that we saw a little bit earlier in the season that we were a little concerned had gone away. It certainly seemed to be back Saturday against Nashville. I don't know if you've got like the extra chip on your shoulder or whatever with Connor being back and just guys consistently being out that you bring up your A game a little bit even more if you are playing. Who knows? But it looked friggin' great. Lardis with an absolute beautiful goal. And again, another note for big game for Bertuzzi and for Kaiser and for Drew Comesso, the future of goaltending in Chicago. First NHL win, first NHL shutout. He played out of his mind, out of his absolute mind. That kid was locked in. It was beautiful to watch, not only just being a Blackhawk fan in Nashville and watching these Nashville fans get so frustrated with Drew's performance, but you're facing against not only a rival team, but your other goaltender has played for a long time, is going to be the starter for his country in the Olympics with UC Saros, and you outplayed him so much. It was a fantastic game by Drew. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, a huge comeback game for him. It's not easy to do back to back. He was probably one of the few people that was completely healthy.
Yeah.
As far as the Donato stuff, I'm pretty sure, I don't know who it was at, but there was an extra stick work. And that's when Ryan went kind of nuts and really gave him a pull in those situations. Usually the second guy in gets called on it. But yes, something you'd like to see, especially in that kind of game.
Yeah.
Especially when your goaltender is playing well. And Nashville did what you're supposed to do when a goaltender's playing really well. You start flying bodies at them. That's definitely something the Hawks can learn. That's the other thing. You start bumping into them. You start doing this. You start doing that. Can't say enough about Drew's game. The Lardass goal was phenomenal. Artie who played a good game.
Yeah.
I'm becoming more and more impressed with Artie. Understands who's on the ice. And when he's on the ice with Connor, I believe he knows exactly where Connor is at all times. He knows job one is to get the puck to Connor. He also knows job one is to get the puck to Lardass when Lardass is on the ice. He gets that part of it. He knows his role. There's still a lot of things to be figured out and learned, but the best part of all of it for me was it was an empty netter. Call it whatever the hell you want, but Ryan Green found the back of the net as it was happening. I'm like, for the love of God, if you miss this one. So it was nice to see Green get one in the net. I don't care how it is.
No.
He's one of my favorite players, and he is struggling to find the net. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's a very good game. Go, Drew.
Yeah.
Love Drew.
And, that's a team trying to find their way and probably just not good enough. The only other thing that I noticed was with being as bad as we were for a while, I paid more attention to drafts, paid more attention to who was in we talked about Miles Wood, and Miles Wood looks like he'll be a hockey player, and he looks like he's a perfect fit for a Nashville hockey player.
Yeah.
He brings some size and he's got some skill. He's going to be a player, probably a mid-6, not a unbelievably talented, but the kind of player that we're going to be needing at some point in time. So, and the only other thing that I thought it was a great pass by the Beacon of Hope to Lardass. And I understand that gets everybody thinking, oh my gosh, those two together. I just don't see how that works. I just think teams eat you alive in your own end if they're both there. And so my mind automatically went to, I've seen that Frondell guy make those kind of shots too. So I went to, looking forward to those two being together.
Yeah.
That's that. I think that's your combo, if you ask me. And I think we will then go back to the whole thing that, Luke stated when he first got Connor. Is he a center? Is he not a center? I think with Frondell, it doesn't matter. They're going to be interchangeable. It just doesn't matter.
I think it makes both of their games stronger if they're interchangeable.
Exactly. So, but that's where I went with that. I'm like, yeah, Connor's vision is underrated, probably because that shot's so good.
Right.
And the other things he does, but he's got that Patty Kane vision at times. And it's just, Patty Kane had a lot of other people to get the puck to.
Yeah.
And once he does, he's going to be everything that's advertised. So that was good. And of course, not much being said and doesn't need to be the fact that, he's not taking faceoffs. There's no sense to put that shoulder through that. Just ask Josh Norris, who after he came back from he got railroaded by Ben on the faceoff dot. So
yeah,
there's just no need for it.
No. Final game, Hawks versus Edmonton last night. Bedard back out with the flu. I still blame St. Louis for having this flu run through us. Poor Connor. Kid just came back. Connor Ingram versus Spencer Knight. As we talked about yesterday, this was the first leg of a back-to-back. So you figure you were probably going to get Ingram. Ingram versus Knight. It was a time.
Circles.
As Christy. Oh. Hello?
Whoa. We're back?
You're back.
Oh, that was me?
Yeah.
I had the spinning wheel of death. It was very scary here.
Well, so like we were saying, with the Edmonton game, as Krusty said last night to me, it wasn't great. Could be a lot worse. Again, like we said when we first started talking about the big club for this episode, we don't know who's playing at what percentage and who is playing through flu symptoms, who should be probably out sick, and who is, still battling stuff, trying to get over stuff. We don't know. So I don't want to go completely critical on everybody's game. Biggest thing for me, because this is an Artie show. We love Artie. Guys, Artie was out there in the second period for 5.5 minutes. And the puck didn't go in the net. That's great. But he was out for 5.5 minutes, played 24.5 minutes for the game. I love to see it. I know, we definitely wish he would have gotten off the ice sooner. Definitely needs to know when He needs to get off the ice. But, this is just a growing pain of Artie's is just we'll get there. Or maybe we won't. Maybe this is just a part of his chaotic style. He's going to make a great pass and then be on the ice for too long. He's going to make a goal and then he's going to get healthy scratch for missing practice. Like you just got a lot of both right now.
Yeah, on that shift he had one opportunity to get off and there was a slight hesitation and then he erred on trying to get back. That was the only opportunity that I saw for him to get off the ice. As your listeners know, this is the second period. It's the long change to the bench in your own zone. So I liked, I liked the Dick line going up against McDavid. I thought they did a decent job. At the end of the day, this is a 2-1 game with 5 minutes to go.
Right.
And their 2 goals were a bounce here, bounce there kind of shit.
Yeah.
Nothing that were
there, bounce there.
McDavid still had some entries that you just went, oh my God. And that just happens. There's no team that completely stops that, but I thought the Dick line did a good job against him. The other thing that I was brought away is that's where Landon Slaggard's role is. Probably the only role on this team is the third line shutdown forward.
Yeah, I thought Landon had a great game.
I thought he played well against McD, and at times McD still got by him. And again, that's going to happen. I will say this, and I will forewarn everybody as far as the Blackhawk team. If you see after the trade deadline a nosedive by this team, do not get too concerned. Because at the end of the day, if they get rid of the Dick and Mickey Mouse, those are your 2 best penalty killers. And the anchor of this team right now, keeping them in games, is their penalty kill. You shut down the Edmonton power play. They had 2 opportunities and didn't do much. That will be a huge hole when they go. So,
but you know who gets called up if the Dick and the Mickey Mouse are traded?
Who? That's the hope. You've got some younger guys. Oliver Moore, I believe, is being groomed to be a killer. Landon Slaggard is a penalty killer. They're just not at close to the level. I mean, Mikheyev is an ideal penalty killer. And with his speed, he's able to check high-end talent. And that's why I've said it a million times already. I don't know what they do with him, but he will be a commodity. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And they just, it wasn't near as bad as the final score.
No.
Spence played well. You got the one banking off his foot and everything. Not completely his fault either. It's the Edmonton Oilers. I don't have, again, a huge problem with it. You're without Connor Bedard, and you were still in the game with 5 minutes to go.
You're without Connor Bedard. Tavo leaves after the first, and you're out Frank.
Yes, and that was also
what this team is able to do with that. I still think is not bad whatsoever.
Yeah, that was also a mistake on my part. I felt a little shame. All of a sudden, I knew that Barrack, and I never put together that Tavo was not out until after the game. So I'll do better. That's something I need to notice. At least a half into the second period, and the fact that I didn't even notice it until it was pointed out to me, I felt some shame. I'm not going to lie. Because, gosh darn it, I'm better than that. That's about it. So, the schedule now gets a little rougher.
Yep.
That Calgary game becomes huge, and then, you get it's a lot of meat and potatoes up until the Olympic break. So,
yeah. Got anything else for this week, Krusty?
I don't think so. I haven't listened to your preview yet. I'm going to listen to that today. It's, I will state to anybody, it's a very exciting weekend at the United Center.
Very exciting week in Chicago.
Yes, you've got all of your players, or a good chunk of the cup people, coming back into town for a celebration Saturday, a Bears game Sunday, and then Jonathan Taves returning to the ice that he built Monday. That's a lot of good nostalgic stuff happening. So I am sure the Hawks will do that upright. That one should be a neat one. I'll be able to go down memory lane and wear my Duncan Keith stuff.
There you go.
That's all I got.
All right, folks, just as a reminder, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, however you watch or listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. If you are going to a hockey game, any game at all, please wait for the whistle. Do not get up all the pucks in play. If you're going to a Hawks game this season, highly recommend Su Taqueria El Rey del Taco over on Ogden. The food is great, the people are great, and it's just great.
It's great. It's great. It's great.
And that is all. And we will talk at you guys next week.